When we see people visiting the remains of a saint, our first guess may be that there's something magical going on for them. This would make it difficult for us, if we do not believe in magic, to give a proper interpretation of what is happening. So we will most likely look for the symbolic meaning of what is happening, or some sort of functional meaning. The magic of objects or symbols is something that goes beyond their representational meaning. It's not just something that is being represented in a symbol or an object, but the object or the symbol makes something present. A dominant anthropological interpretation of symbols is by Clifford Geertz, who developed a certain kind of semiotic approach to religion and symbols. And his idea is that symbols always represent something. So a symbol stands for something else. And a well-known example of that is a flag, a national flag, which represents something by its colors. So the American flag as a symbol represents something that Americans will most likely recognize. The idea that to serve your country, it may represent certain values that people will recognize as American, such as freedom. So these are all meanings that have become attached to the American flag because it has a certain history. But the meanings in themselves, they say a lot about American culture and how it can be represented in a flag. But still, the meanings are arbitrary because it's not something that is naturally connected to a flag. But there are examples of other signs or symbols that have a more natural connection to what they mean. And the philosopher Charles Peirce calls these the iconic sign and the indexical sign, so the icon and the index. Now the icon has some sort of resemblance to what it means. So a map of a city is indeed a map. It's a graphical picture of a city at the same time. So we recognize it as a city, and it has some resemblance to what is there in reality. The index has this quality in an even stronger way because it has a factual resemblance to what it means. As in the saying of where there's smoke, there's fire. Smoke is always a sign of fire. So it really has some sort of presence in reality. Now this way of thinking, so distinguishing between arbitrary symbols, icons, and indexes, can be very important to see what is going on in religious practices. A very good example is from the Catholic liturgy, from the Mass and the celebration of the Eucharist. So in the Eucharist, Catholics believe that bread and wine are transformed into the body and blood of Christ. Now, if we took this idea as something representational, we could say, okay, so this bread and wine is transformed into something else, but that cannot be true, of course, because that's logically impossible. So we have to look for what it symbolizes, and then we look for a representational meaning. For example, saying that it somehow shows people mercy, because mercy is a particular belief within the Catholic faith. But if we stop there and only see the representational part of what is going on in the Eucharist, we really miss an important point. Because in Catholic belief, it is really the transformation of something material into another kind of matter.
When Maya Lind came out here, she saw a rift in the ground. And from that, she came up with the concept of the wall emerging and the names.
The names of the casualties would not be alphabetical. The names would be chronological, alphabetized by day.
Muriel Grooms, Grooms, Grooms.
Baldwin. And the first name was Kenneth.
Kenny.
It represents the human tragedy of war. That's why this is so powerful.
It also showed the healing power of the wall itself.
There are monuments everywhere. People don't leave things at these monuments. This has actually changed the way that people mourn publicly.
All of the messages, all of the little notes, all of the tears. That's important for America.
Moyart takes this wall as an example of how material reality can symbolize in a different way than just representing something. So the wall does not in any way recall images of the Vietnam War. It's just a wall of black marble in which the names of deceased soldiers are inscribed. And the meaning of the wall, if we can speak of a meaning of the wall, is in the fact that people can interact with it. And as such, they can be in touch, literally, with their deceased relatives and their deceased friends, because they can see the wall and they can actually touch it. So the wall does not have any kind of meaning apart from its material existence. Another example of how an object can mean in a direct way is the story Moyart tells about the man who finds the last cigarette butt of the cigarette his father smoked. This cigarette butt acquires a unique value because of that fact that it was indeed the last cigarette his father smoked. So, in a way, this cigarette butt is now connected to his father, even though his father is no longer there. And we could say that this object becomes a sort of relic to the son. And in this way, the object is able to bridge the reality between the living and the dead, which is logically impossible, but in remembrance through objects, this is very well possible. So symbols and the way we interact with them make connections which are physically impossible, and that's their magic.
A symbol, an epitaph, an enigmatic statement on someone's stone hinting at how they died. And then more and more I'm finding myself not just photographing the stones, but looking for the stories behind them, whether it's biography, Arkansas history, a murder, a person's life that had something unique about it that was reflected on their tombstone. Then I started finding the names of the carvers hidden down at the bottom, like a little hidden puzzle. The stones would sink below ground level and that carver's signature might have disappeared, but it might still be there. And that opened up another whole world. The symbolism on tombstones, what do clasping hands mean on a stone? A pointing finger, a lamb, a dove, a willow. And it goes on and on and on. I don't think there's an end in sight. I think I could do this all my life and still find things to intrigue me.
A final example by Moyart about the way we remember through objects is the tombstone. If we look at the Vietnam Memorial Wall as a huge tombstone, we just saw that it is a memory of the people that are deceased. But another interpretation of a tombstone could be that it in fact is an object that represents us as mourners. And the tombstone in fact mourns for us at the grave of the beloved. And as such, it does our mourning work for us at moments that we cannot be there. So in that sense, a tombstone, a memorial stone, can also refer to ourselves.